Said to be more than twice as resistant to direct impact than standard resin-based composites, does the Kelly's steel carbon composite frame herald the start of a new era of mountain bike frame materials? Kelly's have launched a new eMTB called the Theos F Series, made out of a material which is said to be significantly more durable and impact resistant than traditional resin-based carbon fibre bikes. It's a material known as feather, and in the first part of our two-part series, we'll be taking a closer look at the frame material of this new bike from Slovakia. Right, so what have we actually got here then, folks? Well, have no fear, this is a bit of softwood, although I can assure you that this 180mm travel wrecking machine will take more impacts than this bit of stick. Although having said that, there's a reassuring thud to this bike as opposed to an echo. Right, well what we've got is we've got carbon fibres which are reinforced with micro steel fibres and bonded by thermoplastic polymer. Now that's opposed to the traditional way of making carbon fibre bikes, whereby carbon fibres are moulded together with resin, or otherwise known as pre-preg or impregnated resin, and that is then used with cloth to make up the frame. Kelly's want to revolutionise the eMTB market with this steel carbon composite material, otherwise known as feather, using an automated production process in Europe, which is also said to be less labour intensive and easy on the environment too, being fully recyclable. So why is this actually any good for us, the rider? Well, let's start off with durability. Now, Kelly say that the micro steel fibres are said to distribute the forces more evenly in the event of a crash. And as you'll see in this picture here, delamination or cracks are much less likely with this material than on traditional carbon fibre bikes. Right, so who actually are Kelly's? Well, they're Slovakian, formed 30 years ago by the brothers Peter and Brano Divanek. Apologies guys if I've got the pronunciation wrong. They're available globally, fantastic range, great affordability, and as we'll see, some amazing technology. Now, I've only just got this bike and instantly I'm thinking, great shape, really good sort of resonance to the frame there, and some tremendous features, which I'll get into a little bit later. 200% more impact resistant and 200% more durable are seriously big numbers. I, for one, am always a little worried when I go into harsh environments with carbon fibre bikes. And I've broken pretty much every carbon rim I've ever used. And I'm sure many of us are familiar with the cracks on frames or wheels that can occur. Having said that, sometimes the failure cannot be seen until later on. It's under the surface, so to speak, on another layer. So folks, feather as a material could indeed be pretty revolutionary, but please let us know your comments on this new material. Certainly from my perspective, the detailing, the silhouette, and also the componentry for a bike of that price is pretty impressive. We're going to turn our attention now to the fact that actually the Slovakians have got a good relationship with a company a little bit further west. So who are they? Well, whilst this might be a Slovakian company, the frames are actually being produced in cooperation with Belgian tech company Reinforced. What do we know about them? Well, we know that they work for the Netherlands Aerospace Centre, and this material has been used, for example, in GPS satellites, which are being bombarded with debris up there in space. And the key question, how is the bike actually made? Well, implementing this material into bikes was a very difficult task. This meant an advanced and innovative approach that has never been used on a mass production scale before. We're talking robots, full automation for this new material. So why then is this material different to the traditional carbon fibre manufacturing process? Well, that process is normally all done by hand and in a mould. It's pretty much like layering up a cake. You take your layers of pre-preg and your cloth, you chuck it in the mould, throw it in the oven, heat it up, and it all kind of synthesizes together. And also the density and the design of the bike depends on the type of bike you've got. For example, a downhill bike will have many layers of resin, pre-preg in the down tube, along with cloth as well. All the little shapes are then put into a tray, pretty much like a kit. Someone will come around and pick up the parts. The bits are put into a mould, hundreds of individual pieces. It takes about half an hour as the mould is already hot. A bladder is then put inside to force the part into place, chuck it into an oven, and the layers synthesize to become one. Boom. And that has successfully been the way of eMTBs for many decades now. However, this material cannot be used with that process. Now, this feather material, on the other hand, is formed in a robotized stamping process. Preheated composite is laid up with robot arms before the form is closed and press formed to the desired shape. This also means far greater repeatability of the process, with the probability of defects much reduced. I think it makes total sense, and the most important part is that it's going to mean less expensive bikes for us, the rider. As we've seen, the materials are just as light as traditional carbon fibre, even more durable, and if that's matched with performance as well, pretty much job done. I do want to point out one thing, however, and that is the fact that traditional carbon fibre does use different materials and also requires different technical know-how in the design process, because design is equally as important as the construction process of these bikes. So in part 2, we're going to cover the performance and the more sensory aspects of this fantastic new bike from Kelly's. Basically, Kelly said they wanted to make a bike more durable, where damage is significantly reduced, more impact resistant, yet have all the good properties to make great shapes. Lightweight too, some would say, but also stiffer, but I think that word can be misinterpreted. In the meantime, folks, don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe to eMBN, and also follow us on social media to keep tabs of when we take this bike into the filth.